Hi everybody. Hi everyone. This is my lunchtime liaise about the Academy of Ideas meeting I went to the other day I spoke of. Wow, these are very strange and powerful people, and they have not wanted me to speak. They've done the same thing to a well-known comedian, Will Franken, as well. They recruit people. They think that they might be useful to their cause, put their message across the way they expect. And if they don't, they get nasty, the same the way that they do with people who come to know them too well. A little bit alarming that these people are acting as such sort of movers and shakers within the government. Claire Fox, Munira Munra, Ulka something Cuthbert was another one who infiltrated the Brexit Party. James Hartfield. I thought that was the doorbell then. So look, they're movers and shakers on TV all the time. Some people get involved in it with goodwill, as you might do joining the Masons or something. They'll use, whatever they think they can use to appeal to you, to make you think that you're being part of something that makes things happen. Oh dear, they don't. I mean, they don't. They are dodgy people. I'm trying to look up the other guy who's always with them, called Martin. Martin. It take me 2 seconds. I should find him. I look quite like him. He said hello to me actually. Martin. He's more of a Martin Daubney. He's more of a truth teller, I'd say, but he's been speaking at several of their events. Martin Daubney's been on the right stuff many times. Yeah, he's talking about Brexit in real terms, and the state of the country in real terms. But these people tend not to. Claire Fox had this meeting that was supposed to be about the COVID crisis, and had a lot of the movers and shakers that I knew about from dealing with child abuse cover-ups that she's so involved with many of her friends. Helen Rees, who's now dead. I thought I was going to be here. I'm on my own. She had cancer, and she was a person who's belonged to the group for a very long time. Helen Rees was pushing Theresa May to allow paedophile adoption. Paedophile panic is something that Frank Furedi's always writing about. He knew me instantly. He recognized me the first time he met me 4 years ago. He must watch what we're doing a lot with his antics of defending Barbara Hewson, who's enjoyed intimidating, using the power of the state and the authorities, many of my friends, many of them, and famous people all around her got dragged into her really messy bullying antics. But these antics were shared by several of the group members towards us. They didn't limit it just to their beliefs, like Claire Fox. She thinks that child sexual abuse online is mostly simulated, or she says that anyway. Brendan O'Neill's another one who comes out with the most heinous opinions on child abuse. It's wickedness. He talks about what happened in Ireland, as with the babies, 2 Naarm babies, and it talks about it being bad for making the Irish look bad. So they have very peculiar agendas. I wonder whether they had the same agenda about people like Jana being made look bad. When Hewson used to try and intimidate us all late at night 4 years ago, large group of us, shut us down when we just began talking about Savile, as Frank did, writing many articles in spite to shut down the whole thing. I was told by Luke Gittus, one of the guys on the meeting the other day, many years ago, that it was dangerous to believe that the system was so failing, that there was a crisis with elite abuse. He thought that belief itself was dangerous, and he was saying the same things the other night. He was saying that if we have to be very careful what we believe, because some of the, if not, it's dangerous. That was his mentality. So I've been very interested to see how this group are supposed to be real movers and shakers deal with the crisis. They've been so hot-housed. They're typical overeducated idiots. They've been on the right tracks. They've never really experienced much life. They've been hardly snowflake enough to experience anything individual in their own lives. They've kept on the straight and narrow, studied, and now made the way to dictate like bossy mums to us. And it was like a mother's meeting really with Claire there the other day. So I was allowed on. I've been allowed on too, but they bumped me off at the end when I'm not allowed to speak in the group chats. So I just get shut down the button and I'm gone. So 3 or 4 other occasions they wouldn't even let me on. But as I said, the same things happened to Will Franken, same things happened to Robert Tutor, who's a friend of mine on Facebook. Same thing's happened to, oh God, can't remember her name now. Trying to run off these names. Same thing's happened to, anyway, look, lots of my friends. So I wasn't really surprised, but I was surprised just how very bland they were. Ex-communists, ex-revolutionary communist party, trying to fight communism with communism. It's ridiculous, isn't it? You know, can you put out a fire with a fire? Alistair Donald was saying, oh, we just need to be more community now. Let's bring us together, sort of thing. Great. Is there chance for more communism? Yeah. Local heroes and that sort of thing that the government's trying to do. So there was nobody taking it on. Not one mention of Gates funding. Not one mention of how the WHO are deliberately using fear. And fear is supposed to be Frank Furedi's thing. It's supposed to be telling the population to be libertarians, to fight against all the horrors of the world and not use victimhood, and just, you know, because victimhood can be dangerous, can cause witch hunts, just to get on with life. And, you know, fear is a bad thing. But when it comes, I've always understood this, but when it comes from fear, being a real fear generated from higher up, the hidden hand, it's something that they won't tackle because they are more in league with it. You know, they're probably, a lot of their funding comes from people like this. They get funding from the Koch brothers for the big events. They got funding from Monsanto. So, you know, there's not one mention in the talk about COVID, about Gates, not one mention. I find that very, very strange. Not one mention of Soros, not one mention of anything conspiratorial above their level, above their bracket. And this is what really alarms me. This is why people like Claire Fox get jobs with the government, because for all their, you know, rabble rousing on one of the people stuff that she and Brendan O'Neill and all of them try to do, they're fakes. They are just pretenders and carrying on an agenda which is making an appeasement with power. It doesn't challenge power. So we're, you know, and it goes along with what a lot of Boris says, which is spaffing money away. So they're all basically appeasers of the worst kind. So they're not going to be looking for Gates. They're not going to be looking at the bigger picture. They're going to be saying, oh, let's jolly around, let's have more meetings amongst us and do this, and actually kind of enjoy the process in that respect, but not talk any sense, not talk anything at all, because that would be dangerous. Two of them said it would be dangerous. I can't remember what the other guy's name was. Another one I came across. As I said, they all sort of friended me and gave. One of the guys was Piers Ben, relative of Tony Benn, nephew. They're all top intellectual people there, but he befriended me on disingenuously on Facebook and gave a lot of the things I was saying in private to one of my friends back to somebody I'd fallen out with, and he's a friend of Barbara Hewson, you know, the one who was spying on me basically. So I've had lots of disingenuous people, and you know, they'll all act as a team. They don't think. So I mean, anybody coming in with an individual idea, which is what they're supposed to represent, will be shown the door. They're like a little mothers meeting, taking on their little people, back patting each other. The very worst kind of people that we find in power these days, who are just too, you know, had too ordinary, but being so ordinary that they fit in and get somewhere, and thinking that they know it all, you know, but they've not understood the dynamics that are really going on beyond their little secluded groups. So yeah, I've had an interesting time. Real paedophile apologists among them, but I've got to the root of what that is. I went in there to discover it. I got caught in an entanglement with one of them, who I'd strangely enough just trusted because he reminded me a lot of somebody that I'd known in the past, a type of character and things, but I hadn't known the full background to his allegiances and how they were being used and played. And that came first and foremost. So again, I was taken on as a friend, the way Piers Ben did, really, and treated very badly. But this group, yeah, look at Spiked, look at all their articles on child abuse. It's quite horrific. And, you know, they take the same slant with not coming to grips with, you know, the elite goings on now, which is to be expected, really. But it was just absolutely laughable to see it unfold and to see and have myself shunted off at the end. So they allowed me just to sit there and type, but they wouldn't allow me to raise my hand and speak. Quite typical for the group. They're actually quite renowned for that. This is why I got kicked out of a group. They didn't want me to get the microphone. They're afraid of my voice. And the same with Will Franken. He had his videos taken off Comedy Club videos where he was criticising Claire Fox, and he's always talking about them now. Many of us who've come to know them talk about them. Something Monbayat, I forget his name now. I just can't remember his name, but there's plenty of people talking about them. Well, I don't know. Claire Fox being in government in the House of Lords, a place she said should be, you know, banned. The irony of ironies, but as I said, they wouldn't get to where they were if they weren't seriously arm in arm with the authorities. And they're just pretenders, really. They just use people as puppets and as horses. Any real integrity a person has, has to be given over to their agenda, which I've seen time and time again. They can't think for themselves. Dodgy gang, really. But I'm going to leave it there because I have waffled, and if you've had your cup of tea and sat with me for all this time and I've really not made any major points that maybe not be very relevant to you, I suggest you look into the group, though. Academy of Ideas, Claire Fox, because she's going to be a mover and shaker for the years ahead. And if you expect anything from them, you've got to understand that they are play actors, and listen to people who've experienced at their peril. All right, bye for now.